Harper, Avidyne. We've watched this company, been involved with this company over the course of quite a long time, and it's been interesting to watch the iterations of thought that have contributed to the direction that Avidyne decides to take. Oshkosh this year, you guys kind of surprised some folks in a couple of ways, but also started getting into some wild technologies, AI notwithstanding.
Yeah.
So how do you explain Avidyne right now? Where are you going? What are you doing? What's the hot story? What's the hot topic? What's the hot product?
Well, we've got as you mentioned, we made a lot of cool announcements at Oshkosh, and we're fulfilling those now. So we've got Vantage, which is our flight display system retrofit for the Cirrus, as our initial offering, what we call Vantage 12, which would imply there might be a Vantage XX for other airplanes. AI, you mentioned, Pilot Eye. We announced Avidyne is teaming with Dedalian of Switzerland, a Switzerland-based company, to certify an AI, artificial intelligence-based vision system for general aviation aircraft. So that project is progressing, and we hope to have a product to market this year. So that's kind of exciting. We've got some other new announcements coming up later in the year, and then we've got some software releases coming on our IFD products. So a lot going on at Avidyne.
That's for sure. Let's talk first about Vantage. You obviously have a heavy market there, especially with upgraded Avidyne replacements and so forth. And not to mention the folks who got stuck with the six-packs in the early days. What's the initial reception? What kind of data and feedback are you getting from folks that are interested or have made the decision to go with you?
Yeah, well, the installed base of Integra aircraft from about 2002 to 2008, those aircraft are still very viable, and certainly in this market, their value is increased dramatically. So,
it's amazing what's happened.
That's
in the used
right.
market.
So
Insane.
the ability to upgrade those products, there's a lot of pent-up demand for that. So Vantage really hit the mark, I think, based on the feedback we're getting in terms of the kind of features that folks are looking for to move from the 20-year-old Integra technology to what's available now.
What airplanes are likely to be next? Do we have any idea yet where you might want to go?
We haven't made any announcements on the what's next. We've got our plate full getting this Vantage 12 done, but obviously a 12-inch glass isn't going to retrofit into too many legacy GA airplanes like your 182s with a yoke coming through. So we're going to have to go to a slightly smaller size piece of glass in order to fit that. That's going to also couple with some autopilot interfaces and IFD upgrades. So lots of opportunity, which is exciting. So it ought to be a fun few years going forward here.
The community has been pushing for more and more AI-centric technologies. So when you came to Oshkosh and we saw what the capabilities were for Pilot Eye and the like, we had to stand back a little bit and go, okay, what the hell are they talking about? I mean, it's a lot of information to digest, but did it regardless. The system that you're working with, the people that you're working with, what ultimately is the target audience and what is you're trying to actually accomplish?
Sure. Well, Pilot Eye is an onboard vision system, and it's to augment the pilot's ability to see and avoid other airborne objects, both cooperative and uncooperative.
The demonstration on that, by the way, was really convincing.
Yeah, we flew several sorties into a very busy Oshkosh last year, and we were able to replay those videos in the booth for folks.
It doesn't get much busier in Oshkosh.
Right.
No.
So the pilot workload in that type of environment is very high, and it's a vision system, so it kind of sees no better than a pilot could see, arguably, but it doesn't get fatigued. It doesn't overlook certain areas of in the scan. So it's always on sentry duty, keeping an eye out and keeping you safe. Now, in a world where we've got ADS-B traffic and active surveillance traffic like TAS and TCAS, people have asked, well, why do I need a Pilot Eye? But in again, in a world, in an airspace we're moving to, where there's so much non-cooperative traffic, and with the drones, the emergence of drones that may or may not be adequately equipped to be interrogated, and even birds and stuff. The Pilot Eye system has the ability to pick those out and alert a pilot. So it becomes a great augment system, and primarily I think there's going to be a lot of uptake in the helicopter market where you're flying lower to the ground, more chance of a more congested airspace with remote piloted or unmanned type of vehicles.
There have been a number of software upgrades promised for the IFD series, and the IFD series has been fun to watch because, let's face it, it was taking a look at the competition and slapping them across the face a little bit, which was kind of fun to watch. And competition in this business is a good thing because it kind of pushes people into new areas. What are we looking for now on the new upgrades to the IFD series?
Yeah, we've always, even going back to our early days with Integra and with our multifunction displays, had a continuous path and flow of new software and new capabilities. We're currently in a 10.2.6 on the IFDs, and over the years those IFD owners have gotten the addition of synthetic vision. We've enabled wireless connectivity. These are all, and many more features, but what we're calling AviOS 3 or revision 10.3 software is adding visual approaches, en route VNAV, tandem radio tuning, so in a dual radio situation for front to back, you can tune the cross-side radio, single point. We've got some helicopter features in there like radar altimeter display, power line database.
Like that.
Yep.
Like that a lot.
Helicopter TAWs. So a lot of cool features. We can zoom the map down lower. So this is feedback we've got from previous shows of things that customers would like to see.
Interesting. Where do you see Avidyne going over the next few years? It's been an interesting journey thus far, but at this point, with some of the new areas you're heading into, it's hard to predict where you go next.
Well, right. I mean, the Pilot Eye thing is interesting because we've partnered with Dedalian, and they're really the experts in the artificial intelligence part of it, and we're developing the hardware platform to host that software. But we're also the certification expert we're the ones that are working to actually certify and find the methodology to certify this artificial intelligence going forward, which will then open up for unimaginable type of new products in the future. So there's that, coupled with our flight display launch. Mm-hmm. So we've got obviously a lot of opportunity for new flight displays and in a plethora of airplanes that are hungry to have that.
What's the current deployment plan for Vantage?
We are on pace to certify and deliver this year into the Cirrus market. Hopefully we'll have some other announcements coming soon on other sizes of displays that can fit into the rest of the world, if you will, mm-hmm. and then we'll go from there.
Okay. On topics that we've been covering with everybody who's been up here, how is Avidyne dealing with the supply situation out there right now? We're seeing, we keep joking there's going to be a drinking game every time we bring up supply issues. Take a chug back out there for the folks watching the live audience. But it's obviously been brought up, and also how is Avidyne meeting its needs for hiring right now? Are we finding that the climate out there is building the kind of technician and folks that you need for the company to be able to proceed?
Yeah, from a manufacturer's point of view, we're always looking for software engineers. That's a critical piece because of the regulations and the requirements around certified software-based products. Obviously, being on the board at AEA, we hear it all the time from the dealers that they need qualified technicians. But one of the things as a manufacturer we can do, and we're working very actively to do, is help the dealers bring perhaps lower qualified folks in or new technicians and get them up to speed quicker. by providing things like our interactive installation manual, the online videos. We've got a new dealer portal where they can go on and get on their mobile phone and get access to training apps and also real-time troubleshooting videos. So we think that's going to help some. There's obviously a lot of other programs going on with the association to help that, but it's a real challenge. As far as supply chain, we've got availability. We've done some things. We had already strategically made decisions to have parts on hand so that we could always have stock and be able to deliver as a strategic advantage. When the supply chain stuff hit us this last year, we dealt with a lot of the same challenges everybody else is, which is you can maybe be able to get the parts, but you're going to pay, 500%, 800% markups on them. So we've had to deal with those challenges and rolling those price increases in, but we're proud to say that we are still delivering product, and that's helping keep these dealers in business, frankly. They're able to continue to deliver product and meet the needs of our end customers.
Unfair question.
Oh, good.
We are going to be meeting somewhere down the line, we'll call it AEA 2027, 5 years from now. What's Avidyne look like?
Well, we continue to add products to our portfolio. We think there's a lot of opportunity to extend that. With having flight displays, that's going to really broaden our market. And autopilots, coupling to the existing available autopilots, plus perhaps growing the certification list for our own DSC 90. So those are opportunities we're going to have. We're going to see the growth in the advanced air mobility market is huge. And we've got our fingers into some of that, and so we think there's going to be a lot of growth on that side of the house. So we're real excited about that.
That's an interesting area. We were talking today that everybody's pushing Jetsons in 2024 and 25, and we're just kind of going, yeah, no. At the same time, the technologies that are being worked on, the impetus behind it, the amount of money involved, the resources being thrown at it, indicate that something extraordinary is going to come of it all. Won't look like, excuse me, won't look like what a lot of people thinks it should look like or will look like according to current prognostications, but regardless, it's going to change the industry. The key is how to judge the technologies that have a chance at winning versus those that don't, and that's got to be a toughie. So you guys better have one hell of a crystal ball in order to be able to judge a proper future out of the whole thing. Yeah. So no sweat, Dan. Go for it.
Right. Well, one of the things we're trying to do is really listen to the voice of the customer and build them the products they want and need. We've got a lot of cool ideas that we can put in front of them, but rather than try to wedge our existing products into what they have, is listen, how can we take our current products and change them and modify them and or create new to really fit that different model.
Final question. Some time ago, you guys went up against Brand G with your IFT series, and on top of it, you kept adding trick after trick. Things that we never saw in those boxes before. Synthetic vision. What? I thought this was supposed to be, a radio, or a nav system, or this and that. You kept adding trick after trick after trick. The box has gotten more capable, and you got more competitive. It was interesting watching what you were doing in your place in the industry. What has Avidyne learned from the IFT experience to date? Well, it's a great product. Yeah. And certainly our friends over at Brand G are formidable competitors. They make great products. We can all agree on that. But I think it's great for the industry to have a competitor in the market. If you want an IFR GPS in your GA airplane, you only have two choices. And there's a reason there's only two of us, because it's really hard to do. Yep. And even harder to do well. And we think we do it well. We think we innovate and we bring cool stuff to market, and I think that's going to continue to serve us well going forward. Well, in no uncertain terms, you guys have been incredibly innovative. The part that I have enjoyed over the years is watching the man-machine interface. I had R9 in a previous airplane that shall remain nameless, and was really impressed by how easy it was to operate under the most critical conditions. When I'm running into Miami and I've got a hop to do for the airline I was working for at the time, and I've got 3 hours to get to an airplane, pre-flight it, and be heading for Mars, and so forth and so on, and all of a sudden they switch my approach from the west to the south to this to that. In other systems, that was a lot of key strikes, a lot of button loads, a lot of this, that, and the other. But the wonderful thing about R9 at the time was it was so intuitive, it was so simple, and the best part was the way it laid out the information. So I had, no worries about that. It was all getting done. It was getting done fast. And of course, those lessons were part and parcel of IFD, and part and parcel, I assume, of Vantage and everything else.
You bet.
And you guys did that just better than anybody.
Well,
period.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic system, and it became the basis for what we're doing today. And folks are flying around with real FMSs now.
Yeah. Well, it was the best system I ever flew at the time. It really was, well, frankly, still to a certain extent. And the best I've owned. It was really something. But I'm anxious to see what you do with Vantage down the line and where it goes from there.
Lots of cool stuff coming.
When you're ready for the Twin Comanche, let me know, man.
All right.
That's going to be my next bird.
Very good.
Tom, thanks so much for everything.
Pleasure, Jim.
News Network's coverage of the 65th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
ELT is just another tick on your pre-flight checklist, until you need it. Did you ever wonder what would happen if you had an engine failure over the mountains, marshland, or other dangerous terrain? Take to the skies confidently with the most reliable and highest performing ELTs and safety products on board that instantly mobilize life-saving search and rescue across the world. Read survivor stories from aviators and adventurers who survived life-threatening encounters thanks to ACR and Artex life-saving technology. Luck favors the prepared at survivorclub.com.